Oh god. Fine, I'll make one. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've personally had quite a bit of fun with the Wii brand of consoles. But it's been out since 2006. It's almost a decade long of this brand smearing itself across the game industry. Is it time for this to go? Well, I think so, and so does the new president of Nintendo. Man, I gotta tell you, this new president is really bringing. He has made a lot of smart, really well-educated quotes. He's really showing how intelligent he is. I didn't report on this, but a couple months back, he kind of talked about how he kind of predicted the Wii U's failure. At least he says so. And then he's discussing now how he's talking about how Nintendo needs to move away from the Wii brand. They need to make the NX something completely different. It's kind of already bouncing off what Nintendo's been saying all along about the NX, but it's just reconfirming that the NX is going to be a completely different piece of hardware from the Wii and the Wii U, which is great. In an interview, Tatsumi Kimishima had this to say about this topic. We talked about the transition from Wii hardware to the Wii U hardware and how difficult it is to explain the consumer base what is different and new about the new hardware. It's difficult to convince them to switch from their current platform to the next platform. That being said, I can assure you that we're not building the next version of Wii or Wii U. It's something unique and different. It's something where we have to move away from those platforms in order to make it something that will appeal to our consumer base. Then later on it gets into how he talked about how the Wii U is not selling, and I'll get to that now. The Nikkei's reporter question to me was, the Wii U is not selling at this point in its lifetime as well as the Wii was at the same time. Why is that? And my answer was that the Wii at this point has sold over 100 million units worldwide, and even though there are people saying, hey, since the Wii was so successful, Wii U is also going to be successful and it's also going to sell like wildfire as well. I looked at the global install base and said that it might not sell as well. That was my response. Not that it wouldn't sell well, but that it would be more difficult because of the install base of the Wii itself. Now he brings up an interesting point, one that I've kind of had in the back of my mind, but I didn't really think that was part of the reason why the Wii U hasn't sold. I mean, the Wii U hasn't sold because of its name, because, you know, lack of games, third-party support. There's great first-party games, no one's arguing that. And just overall confusion about the product. And I think that he has gone down on record saying similar things to that. But it's interesting that he brings up this point. I mean, I can understand that with the Wii's install base, with that general consumer base, I can understand why they wouldn't feel the need to upgrade. And I'm gonna make that point, actually, from a poll that I personally did myself. Well, it's not really a poll, it's more or less just kind of a mini questionnaire. I basically went around asking a question to just completely random people. I didn't even know them, I have no idea if they game or not. I just went out and asked some people questions. And I'm gonna read 3 of my favorite answers out of the entirety of people that I asked. I asked about 15 to 20 people, and this was kind of the general consensus. So my question was, what do you think of when I say Wii game console? Here's basically what I got back. Is that the thing where you can play tennis and bowling on? Well, I guess I would think of how hard Mario Kart was to control. Wow, the Wii? That came out years ago. Are they gonna make another one? Yeah, you can't make that up. And that kind of goes along with what me and I know other media outlets and other YouTubers have been saying for the past few years. The Wii U, it's just a confusing system. I mean, it honestly is. I remember the first time I saw that E3 2011 trailer, and I was kind of concerned about its conception. I didn't really understand what it was because they just showed off the tablet controller, and I remember looking at that and thinking, that's neat. I mean, it looked really unique, and I wanted that. But from the games they showed off, it just literally looked like a Wii add-on. And then we found out later it's a new console. You guys know the rest of the story. I like what Kimishima is bringing to this company. I think he's bringing a deeper intellect about gaming as a whole. He's bringing a little bit more of a business aspect, whereas someone like Satoru Iwata brought more of a fun gaming aspect, which is good, and I think he took the company in the correct direction for the time. But I think as time went on, I think Satoru should have became more or less a vice president and had someone that was a little more business-esque, business savvy, sitting on the top. I mean, I'm not saying Satoru was a bad president, not at all. I do think he did a lot of great things for the time, but I do think that this new president's ideology about Nintendo, it's gonna drive the company in the right direction. And I could be wrong. That's totally fine. I've been wrong before, but I gotta say, I wholeheartedly agree with him on this subject. I definitely think that the Wii brand as a whole needs to go. Basically, from my little questionnaire that I got and from what I've seen online, what I've basically just seen from people who just casually game, is that the Wii U is an unnecessary system and that the Wii brand as a whole has been tarnished to death because of this. The Wii was pretty popular up until about 2009. Then it kind of fell off because there wasn't a whole lot to play on it other than just pretty casual party games. And then Just Dance. gotta have your Just Dance. But from that, and then from the pretty shoddy performance of the Wii U, I think it is very, very smart of Nintendo just to kind of push that away, just out of everyone's minds, and just bring the new NX here, and just plop it down, and let's all bring back the NES and Super Nintendo days of gaming. Actually, there was one of my friends, whenever he had talked about getting a 3DS and he was discussing it with his parents, just kind of letting him know that he was planning on getting a 3DS and that Nintendo makes that. And they had the funniest response by saying, "Is Nintendo still relevant?" That kind of just says it right there. The funny thing is, a lot of people don't even realize Nintendo made the Wii. From what I got, and from what I've seen, most people just kind of think of the Wii as its own singular entity, because they don't process the fact that, oh, Nintendo makes this. That's not good, because people need that brand association, so when they see that company makes something new, they produce something different, then they can be like, oh, hey, they're the ones that made that other thing that I love. So overall, great quotes. I mean, I'm sorry that this episode of The Quack isn't very long. I'm putting off a couple episodes that I want to put a little more thought and time into, and then I saw this and I was like, hey, that's interesting. I'm going to talk about that because I think more people need to see that, because the Wii brand in general, it was good. And now it's bad. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to Fast Racing Neo. Oh yeah!